I am John Carpenter.
All right.
Yes, I'm begging for that applause. Anyhow, I am called the Movie Man. Why is that? For those who don't know me, I am an actual film historian, a collector of actual film on reels that I have been preserving for decades now. I have I have pictures to prove it. I have over 400,000 actual films on reels in my basement. And if I get any more, my mother, who I am now living with, is going to throw me the heck out. So, and I'll come live with you.
No, you won't.
I have enough problems.
No.
I've been married 38 years. I got enough problems.
Where's your
Anyhow,
wife?
just to let you know,
She ain't here.
what I am doing by having these film shows is the fact that I am comparing and illustrating to you verbally, of course, the history of the time in America and why these films were produced and what they represent to the original viewers who were originally seeing these films in the theaters. Because for the most part, no one knew there was going to ever be a market for these films ever again. I mean, here we are in 2019. This film was made in 1936. So it really is an educational tool to let you all see what was going on then and how much we've either gone past, gone higher, or stayed the same. Now, with this film, I have never, ever, in the 17 years I've been doing this, in which I have shown thousands of films, silent and sound, I have never shown a Shirley Temple before.
Why are you starting now?
There's the question I was hoping I'd get milk out of you. Okay, I'm showing this one because it is very New York themed, and us being New Yorkers. Why am I showing this film? I do my new friend over here asked. This film is very, very, very New York themed, and it is kind of being a New York themed film. Shh, what this is talking. You know, I'm kind of wondering, perhaps they know more about these films than I do.
You're the historian.
And pardon me?
You're the historian.
There's only one movie man.
And you're very lucky. There's only one
That's
movie
right,
there.
exactly.
Anyhow, so this film is highly musical. The talent that is, of course, Shirley Temple is absolutely fantastic, but Jack Haley, without his Tin Woodsman outfit, is in this film, so you'll be able to see what he really was like when he wasn't playing that iconic role of the Tin Man.
In The Wizard of Oz.
In the Wizard of 1939, right? And this is 1936. But he had been in the business making films since the early 30s, some of which he made at the Paramount Astoria Studios. Anyhow, this film is going to be as if we're seeing a neighborhood movie house program. I have included informational shorts by Shirley. I have included similarly themed cartoons that fit with the feature. And I've also, so you could see what was going on in America, a 1932 newsreel of some things that were happening in Jersey and New York. And like I was saying, this film, you got to realize that the historic aspect of this film is the fact that it shows New York's biggest industry, which at that time was the radio broadcasting industry, and how much competition and working behind the scenes. You're really gonna love this film, I feel. Anyhow, let's get right on with it. The another friend here, Mr. Ira Marks, has told us a story about Shirley Temple and her endeavors with Mrs. Franklin Delano Roosevelt. I don't know if you'd like to come up, Ira?
Well, I could tell it from here.
No, stand up. Turn the camera.
Shirley Temple had it written into her contract. Her mother took care of the money. She only got one thing in the contract. She traveled everywhere with a slingshot. It was written into a contract. And she was invited to the White House for the Easter egg roll.
Oh my God.
And as Mrs. Roosevelt was straightening the table with the goodies for the children, she was suddenly struck in the rear, turned around, and there was Shirley Temple with a slingshot. And she said, "Just go off, little girl." But she knew, everybody knew who Shirley Temple was, and she didn't want to yell at her, and she was...
Well, let's get on with the new experience so we can make it a new experience for all of you. Especially all of you watching, you voyeurs. Anyhow, enjoy it. Thank you so much for coming. I love you all and God bless you. Oh, news. On March 15th, write that down. It's on my office.
Do you have any spare hands?
Buy a notepad, dude.
Pardon me?
Buy a notepad.
I know. Here, I'm doing this. These are my contracts. All right. I just found this out today. March 15th, in honor of St. Patrick's Day. Now, where else on Long Island do you see silent films? That's the answer I want. Nowhere but here, right?
Or in John's basement.
What?
Or in your basement.
Yeah, or in my basement, and you're all welcome. Now, this film, Riley the Cop, is a real New York-themed silent film made right when silents were going to make the transition to sound. So it had the soundtrack was the original disc score. Records were synchronized with the film to sync up with sound effects and music before there was voice. All right? Now, Riley the Cop is a really great comedy. It's a New York themed film with a New York Irish cop, and you're going to see lots of New York at the time. And I begin the show with a short, travelogue short of New York City, all the locations we still have now, how they changed, how they looked then of New York City. So that is March 15th. And, okay. Then in honor of April, I'm not doing, which I normally would do, an April Fool's Day show. I'm doing a show for Passover. And I'll be showing the monument of the period. This film is a great representation of just what the Jewish community was about and what their origins were like. I'm showing the House of Rothschild. Now, why is that film important? Because after this film, the last reel of this film was shot totally in Technicolor, which shows how important a release it was. George Arliss is the star of that film. So that's April 12th. Now I see you're all memorizing these dates, so I expect to all see you here because we all have your addresses. And I have to show you up and bring you by the hand. But enjoy the film, and Evie, if you've never seen Shirley Temple before, you are going to be amazed at how talented, because she was known as the biggest little star of the 1930s, the Depression 30s. She was that ray of sunshine. So let's run it. Let's roll it, Megan.
She was a symbol of hope.
Yes, very true. Bubble.
Oh, it's gonna be in black and white.
Once upon a time when I was very young and first worked in pictures, I used to get awful worried about all the troubles. I wish all the bad things in the world could turn out to be just pretending.